So we need to finish off our notes for chapter 13. So what we're going to do is we're going to move into when things go wrong, part 5 with the anterior pituitary. You have already, or I hope have already, watched the video on the human growth hormone and the two different feedback loops. So your normal feedback loop and then your puberty feedback loop. What I have in front of you on my split screen here is the anterior pituitary human growth hormone feedback loop during puberty. So in your notes, you will notice that you have this already. In the notes that you are taking, underneath the hyposecretion and hypersecretion, you're going to add these here. So if I was typing in my notes, I would write dwarfism here. And then over here, I would write gigantism. And again, this is for just the child, as you can see there. And this is going to be acromegaly. Now, acromegaly is found only in adults. It's a later onset version, and we're going to talk about the difference between those here in a second. So what I would like to do is I would like to go through the next part of the note. So in the next section of your notes, it says how it should function, part 5. So here is how. So what you have to understand is that the human growth hormone can be used for things other than what it's naturally used for in our body. People can use it in sports, for example, to kind of cheat the system, kind of like a more humanized version of testosterone. We don't get it from doctors, but you can synthesize it. So what does hGH do? Well, the idea is that it stimulates the liver to secrete the hormones, which are growth factors. And what this does is it causes protein synthesis, which is what builds the muscles in your bodies, cell division, where cartilage then can grow, and then breaks down your fats, and so that you can build more muscle. So again, on this part of your notes, you should be adding that information in. Hopefully you already have this information posted. Those would be your feedback loops. So I just want to quickly touch on what is the following 3 different types. So what you're seeing here are the 3 different types of hGH related disorders. So I would recommend either here or again, where you wrote them down here, just giving a little bit of information. So dwarfism essentially is caused by hyposecretion of hGH. And what it does is that it stunts your growth. All right, so there are different types of dwarfism. Now, genetically inherited dwarfism is not the type we're talking about. We're talking about an issue with the pituitary gland that causes the lack of secretion of hGH. Over here, you have gigantism. Gigantism is when you are born with a high amount of hGH starting as a young child. So when you hit puberty, you continue to grow and grow and grow and grow. Someone who suffers from gigantism is going to be somewhere between 7, 8 feet tall. Okay, they tend to suffer from very enlarged organs, as well as they die very young because their body can't process the amount of blood it has to push around, how heavy their organs get. Okay, they just become bogged down, and unfortunately, they end up dying usually from heart failure. There's a couple famous wrestlers. You may have watched The Princess Bride. Andre the Giant is one of them, hence his name, Andre the Giant. Now, this one here is called acromegaly. Now, acromegaly is a late onset in adults. So what I'm going to show you here is what happens. So what you have here is a child who has normal hGH patterns in their body. Okay. Now, as they grow older, okay, they will hit puberty. Now, when puberty happens, something occurs where hGH continues to secrete. Now, something happened in the pituitary gland that's not shutting it off. So what you're seeing here are going to be signs of bone structure change. So anywhere where there's cartilage, you're going to have your cartilage expand. So the nose, ears, hands, fingers, feet, they become swollen and enlarged. Your jawline grows and it doesn't stop growing. So what ends up happening is by the time you are older, it's something like this. You'll notice that the hands are quite enlarged. The jawline is very male, almost like for a female. The nose structure is very wide. And that's because after they hit puberty, that puberty feedback loop doesn't stop and it keeps secreting way too much hGH. So those are the 2 types of conditions that can happen with hGH. I should say 3 types of conditions. And hopefully you get these in your notes, have filled it out, and we will start in the next day with a hormone quiz.